Here's a look at today's top stories. Former President Trump will be booked and arraigned at the Manhattan Criminal Courthouse today. Sources tell CBS News the charges are related to falsifying business records stemming from his alleged role in hush money paid to Stormy Daniels. Following the historic arraignment, Trump plans to return to his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida, where he will speak publicly.
Also, voters in Wisconsin head to the polls today for a crucial state Supreme Court election. The race is nonpartisan, but Republican organizations are backing Dan Kelly, while Democratic ones are supporting Janet Protasiewicz. Democrats are hoping to flip the court's balance for the first time in 15 years. Abortion rights has been the biggest focus of that race.
And Finland becomes an official NATO member today, nearly a year after it first applied following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. NATO's border with Russia doubles with the addition of Finland, though the world's biggest security alliance says it has no plans to send additional troops there.
Well, right now in Russia, virtually any criticism of the regime can land you in a prison cell, but many Russians are still all in with their president, even cutting ties with family and friends who aren't.
Yeah, Scripps News correspondent Ben Chamiso spoke with one Russian activist in Chicago, braving death threats in the hope of inspiring others to speak out against the war in Ukraine.
Thank you. Here we go. Thank you so much.
For Chicagoans and tourists passing by,
Here we go. Thank you so much.
the leaflets handed out by Anastasia Voronova and other protesters may not seem like a huge deal. But for the activists, most of them Russian exiles, speaking out against their president and his war in Ukraine is a serious risk, even from the safety of America.
It's a huge risk for me and my family who are being in Russia.
Still, Voronova, one of the group leaders, says staying silent is not an option.
How do you feel seeing a photo of your parents after everything we just discussed?
I feel like I'm gonna cry. I miss them so much.
Voronova, who comes from an ultra-nationalistic family, asked us to blur her parents' and brothers' faces for their safety. They and all of her childhood friends in Russia no longer speak to her.
They do not want to accept my point of view.
Her dad is a highly ranked pilot in the Russian Air Force.
So this is my dad standing next to the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation, Mr. Shoigu, who's bombing Ukraine now.
The 25-year-old spent her teenage years at a Moscow boarding school for daughters of military officers and started asking uncomfortable questions about her country's censorship at a young age.
We would have propaganda going on in class.
But it's when she first stepped foot in America in 2019 as an exchange student that she says she realized how repressive her country was.
In Russia, you can read all the articles that you see in here in America.
After being expelled from her Russian university for organizing a protest, she transferred from exchange to full-time student at Beloit College in Wisconsin. She stayed in the US to gain work experience after graduating in 2021. Then, just a few months later, Russia invaded Ukraine.
I got into a horrible depression. I couldn't believe that my country, my president was doing that. I had to go see a psychiatrist because I couldn't deal with that on my own. Well, I'm still here.
Eventually, Voronova found support within the Russian community in Chicago and started raising money to help Ukrainians with humanitarian needs, heaters, and even commercial drones. Voronova says Russian trolls constantly harass her online and she receives frequent death threats.
They say you'll be physically beaten up and then we'll call police on you.
How risky is it really for you right now to talk to me?
This risk I'm taking is nothing comparing to what Ukrainians are experiencing right now.
She says she can't live with herself unless she speaks out.
I do feel very, very responsible for what my country is doing. And I feel like every Russian citizen should feel that way.
Even though you're just one Russian immigrant far away from Russia, you believe you can make a difference.
The more people have the same opinion, the louder your voice will sound.
Ben Chamisso, Scripps News, Chicago.
It's a part of it that we never have really talked about, the Russian people, because they're not getting a picture of what's really going on there.
Right.
Her family hasn't even speaking to her because that's just crazy. And she continues to do what she's doing.
Yeah.